So, welcome to another episode of the Little Marketing Podcast, where we provide you, Australian small business owners, with smart and tangible marketing advice for your small business. So, when we talk small businesses, we know that it's more than just a business, it's your livelihood. And business has so many impacts, good and bad, on their owners, their family, and extended family. So that's why I'm super excited today to welcome Tim Smith to the show, who's from the Family Business Association of Australia. Now, I'll let Tim do his proper intro on who the FBA are, but essentially their purpose is to help family business succeed. And I just love that purpose. So the goal today will really be for Tim to share a whole lot of information around his learnings in dealing with small businesses and specifically family businesses across Australia, and just to share a whole lot of insights on the ups and downs on dealing with family businesses every day. So essentially, before we kick off, just a bit of an intro on Little Marketing. So we're a marketing consultancy specifically built for small businesses, providing marketing plans and advice for over 15 years. And we've learned so much about business owners, what works and what doesn't. So based on those learnings, these podcasts are in line with the Little Marketing vision of helping business owners just like you guys to achieve the best possible results for their organization. So Tim, welcome. How are you?
I'm going great, Michael. Thanks for having me here today.
All good, mate. How's things over at the FBA? Going well?
FBA is going really well at the moment. Obviously, in the current economy, it's a little bit tough for some businesses out there, but a lot of our members are equally reporting that they're still going fantastic, which we love to hear.
Yeah, awesome. So for the listeners, tell us and do you mind us saying FBA today just for short?
FBAs, look, that's how us and our members refer to us as well. But yes, the Family Business Association, or FBA, been around for 25 years this year celebrating. And essentially it was started by the family business community for the family business community. We're a not-for-profit member-based association, and it's all about providing the right support and resources for family businesses to give them the best chance to succeed. One of our catchphrases is connect, share, grow, and that's what we're all about. It's connecting family businesses as a community to give them the right support and resources to give them the best chance of success. And that's pretty much FBA in a nutshell.
Okay, I'd love to dig into some of those details a bit more. So how big, you're based in Melbourne, correct?
Yeah, head office is in Melbourne, but we've actually got representatives in each state across the nation and also in New Zealand, I should say. So we're there just to support people across both those countries in family business.
Yeah, okay. So you were telling me just off air that you were at an event last night. So I understand FBA do a lot of events. So tell us about the one last night and how that helps small businesses and the advisors as well.
Yeah, look, well, the one last night, as we discussed off air, our membership is around 90 to 95% are family businesses, and the other members are accredited advisors. So they actually do an accreditation course that was developed between FBA and the University of Adelaide to really understand family business issues. Because one of the things that I come across is a lot of family businesses refer to Google when they've got need and help and want support. And a lot of people out there might say, yeah, we can work with family businesses, but they don't truly understand what goes on in a family business and the dynamics. And it's so much more than just the cheapest price when it comes to supporting a family business. So a meeting last night was actually one of our Advisor Connect meetings where the advisors do come together, and it's about growing their network and supporting each other and learning from each other. And last night we were talking about how a family can transition the ownership of the business from one generation to the next, but structure it in such a way that neither the owners or the incoming owners or next generation actually need to dig into their pocket, how it can be done through the dividends, etc., out of the business. And I'm probably not doing it justice, but it was a really fascinating topic. So our advisors get together monthly to learn that so that they can provide a far superior service to family businesses than other people out there.
Yep.
But also having a network to lean on. So when they come across a certain issue in a family business that isn't their area of specialty, that they've got someone they can rely on who's going to provide that right service and advice to give the family business the best chance to a great outcome.
Yeah, okay. And I want to dig into how the advisors specifically help and how they get connected with the members. But before we do that, so with your how many members did you say you have?
We've got roughly 2,000 members across the
Okay.
nation.
And then what is there a particular industry or segment or characteristic that you see that is a common thread with those clients apart from being family businesses?
Not really. Our members stretch from micro businesses all the way up to listed companies and span the full spectrum of industries. So there's not any, if you talk in computer terms, there's not a particular avatar where you go, that's the ideal people to be talking to. Ultimately, what we find, the issues that family businesses face are extremely unique, hence why they need the right support. But I will let you know that across family businesses, it's not unique at all. It's very common. Most family businesses go through the same issues and concerns, whether they've already gone through it, currently going through it, or will go through it in the future.
Yep.
Some of them aren't aware of what the issues are they will face at this particular point in time.
Mm.
And for many, unfortunately, it's only when things start to go wrong, not just in the family business, but
Yep.
also in the family. That's when most people start getting on Google and looking for the help, and we pop up on the first page,
Yeah, do
if
you?
not,
Okay.
if not in the first position. And the common thing I hear is, gee, I wish we'd heard about you 10 years earlier, because sometimes the relationships in the family 10 years ago, everything was rosy. They all
Of
loved
course.
each other. They were all
Yep.
rowing in the same direction. And that's the best time for people to join Family Business Association, when they don't feel they actually need us. Because once certain issues arise in the family, some things you don't bounce back from,
Yep.
and some things aren't recoverable.
So let's talk about, and I can't wait to get into all the traps and all the obstacles that a family business fall into and run into. So tell us, Tim, how long have you been at the FBA, and what does your day to day look like?
Almost 3 years at FBA. I've had a few different roles within FBA during that time, and there is no normal day to day. There's not even a normal week to week or a normal month to month,
Mm.
because we answer calls from members, but also from non-members that are looking for help and assistance with their family business. We
Yep.
could be running an event, which might be a networking event, or it could be an education course, that we could be running to help support family businesses. I've
Yep.
just booked in an event that we're going to be holding in July. This year's 2023. I don't know how long the podcast will last, but it's one of our Meet the Owners events, where an owner actually opens their doors and invites the family business community in, and they give us a site tour of what they do and how they do it, which is very fascinating.
Love that.
And yeah, absolutely. But they also do a little bit of a presentation on the stage. And one of the ones this year, I could see everyone in the audience with notepads taking notes, because there's some real gold shared amongst the family business
Mm.
community, because they all want to see family businesses succeed. So they're very open and caring and sharing and
Yep.
happy to share ideas. Sometimes there's competitors in the room. They won't give up their IP and their little tricks of the trade of what makes their business great, but
Yep.
they're more than happy to share things that help make their family strong, and in turn also helps their business get strong.
What do you think, if we look at family businesses and obviously, as a marketing consultancy for small business, we have plenty of them and we see some characteristics. In your experience, what do you see as kind of maybe two or three of the common issues or pitfalls that family businesses fall into? And then maybe when you tell me that, then maybe we can have a discussion around how the FBA helps with those specific circumstances.
Yeah, look, one of the biggest things that's an issue for family businesses is the topic of succession planning. It's something that we're best known for, because we do run education courses on it. And when we run a national conference and state-based conferences and other events where it does come up as a issue, because it is one of the most common things. And something that I see quite often is I'll get a call and someone will say, um, I've decided I'm going to retire in 3 months and we want to start doing succession planning now.
Yeah.
And I'll let you know, for some of our members, succession planning could be a 5 or a 10-year project,
Mm.
because it's not as simple as, okay, I'm going to retire. What does that look like now? Because I've decided it's time. It's, do you have the next generation of your family coming through, and do they have the skills and qualities to be the next CEO, CFO, or leader in the family business? Do you look externally to someone else who may or may not serve as a mentor to the next generation if they're not quite there yet, either by
So,
age or
so what?
experience?
Yeah. So, what percentage do you think? And it's probably a rough guess for you, but on your experience, is the succession planning given to the rest of the family, or then they find a CEO or a GM or an MD outside of the company? Like, what do you think that split is?
Look, I don't have those statistics.
Yeah.
Amongst our membership,
Mm.
you would say the majority of people, they do groom the next generation to come
Okay.
through.
Yeah. Cool.
Now, I will say it's really interesting because I do have some statistics to share with you today.
Sure.
So roughly 70% of family businesses don't have a succession plan in place. And I
Yep.
think it's no coincidence that only 30% of family businesses actually make it to the second generation. And that's
30.
for
Did you say 30%?
absolutely. It's around, look at the figures do change a little
Sure.
bit,
Yep.
and it changes country to country, but that rough 30% is
Wow.
applied globally. I think in Italy,
Okay.
the last report I read, it was something like 31.4% or something of that nature. And it does, it does vary over time. And there's a whole variety of reasons why
Yeah.
it doesn't go to the second generation. Statistics drop even further as you go to, I think, third generation, it goes to about 12%. Fourth generation, about 5% of the businesses get there. So
Wow. Wow. 5 generations. How cool is that?
yeah, well, we've got some of our members are at the fifth or sixth generation now. Now, we've
Yep.
been around 25 years, so their family business has been around a lot longer than us,
Yeah.
but they're very entrenched within the Family Business Association because they understand the trials and tribulations of the previous generations and how important it is to be part of a community of
Mm.
family businesses to give your chance that best success, especially if you are wanting something to build something that will go through the generations, which not every business is started with that intent in mind.
Do you think that for that second generation, or even that third generation or fifth generation, do you find that they want to make, like, what's that feeling like? Is it about making their own mark on it? Is it more about wanting to just keep the family name and the tradition and the business alive? Like, is it a combination of all those things? Because imagine some people would be almost put into a corner to feel like they have to do it and they don't necessarily want to do it. And they think, well, if I'm going to do this and I'm being forced, I want to have my own imprint on it.
Look, it's all of the above.
Yeah.
There's some people who they do like the tradition, and it's not that their family business doesn't grow with the times. If it did, they wouldn't even be on computers, which everyone is.
Yeah.
So you do have to move with the times. And yeah, there's some people who naturally, whether it's their natural personality or maybe the way they were raised, some people go, I want to put my stamp on it, and they might take it a different direction. Other people will hold quite traditional.
Yep.
But there's a lot of common things you see amongst successful multi-generational family businesses too.
Yeah. So what are they? So let's talk about some of those. So I know the first pain point was talking about is succession planning. So what do you see as the key factors in a successful succession planner and those that have succeeded over time, over generations?
Yeah, look, part of it is having everyone on board.
Mm.
Where we see pain points when we're talking to some family businesses, so we have some families will send one person to do the succession planning course that we run. And that person's very inspired because it's run by a professional person who works in the succession planning space. So there's a
Yep.
lot of knowledge and experience comes out of this course. And then they come back and all of the family members, depending upon the type of family, some family embrace it and are happy for one person to do it, and others will be a little bit skeptical. Why do we have to do this? Why do we have to do that? So each family would know their own dynamics. The thing that I encourage is that all family members, whether working in the business or not working in the business, I encourage them to come along and do the course, because all the family members have a vested interest in the success of the family business, whether they work in it or not. And this is another pain point that some family members come to in their family dynamics, is a big one as well. So you've got someone working in the business, helping to build the business to grow. And then you've got a sibling who maybe has their own career outside of the business, who may or may not at some point in time want to join the family business. What does that look like? So there needs to be a lot of transparency and openness amongst family leading up to succession planning, but also part of that succession planning.
Yep.
You know, a really touchy point, especially for family businesses in Australia. No one wants to discuss mortality.
Yeah.
But the reality is things do happen, and no one necessarily wants to openly discuss something like inheritances and who gets assets, who gets ownership of the business, what does that look like? And they're tough conversations. You know, one of the number one tips for family businesses, and it comes out of our Family Business Essentials course, which is coincidentally, it's a complimentary course to members.
Yep.
And it's a half-day course where we address a lot of the family business issues. And one of the things we address is the professionalism of the family business, because depending upon how old the family business is, what generation we're at, how many family members are working in it, all of these things, eventually, if you think of a family business that might have gone to third generation, their family tree can be extremely wide. So, you know, mum or dad may have started the family business, or a partnership or a couple may have started the family business, and then they've had some kids. And if they've had 5 kids who've also had 5 kids, so you've got 25 grandkids, what does ownership look like then? And how many of them can actually work in the business?
Yeah.
Not everyone will want to, but those that do, is there a job for them?
I know a few of those, and it's amazing how, so they're now at the third generation. So the grandkids of the founders, and there's, of the grandkids, I think there's 1, 2, 3, I think there's 4. And I think there's, there's 9 grandkids, and I think of 4 of them are now working in the business, which is amazing, right? And I don't know what that looks like from a stat from your perspective, but I think to have almost half of the grandkids in the business is pretty cool. And to see how that business has transitioned as well. So if we talk, so succession is one key element. So what do those courses and guidance look like around succession specifically?
Yeah, so we've got a specific planning for succession for family business course. And it's imperative that family businesses do it, even if your next generation isn't there yet. Succession planning isn't necessarily all about passing it on to the next generation. So, for example, even non-family business, I'm here to talk about family businesses, but all family businesses need to have a succession plan. If we talk sport and you talk a team, and let's say AFL, and you've got a ruckman, well, that ruckman isn't going to be rucking around forever, and they might get injured. So what does succession planning look for them? Same for family businesses.
Yep.
What happens if the CEO becomes incapacitated for a while through an injury? Who will be looking after the business then? And some family businesses out there actually do specific training on disaster situations. So they'll set aside one day a year. And it was really interesting, a family business I spoke, they hadn't prepared for a pandemic, but every year they have a training session or a training drill, a bit like the fire drill, where the alarm goes off and you all walk down the stairs and meet at the smoking area, and then everyone walks back up. Well, you have a day set aside. What happens if we have an incident in this business? Now, what happens if the CEO is no longer here? What does that look like? So that everyone's prepared. What happens if we have a cyber attack? And I spoke at a cyber conference recently, just from a family business perspective, on cyber issues and scams. And I said, do yourselves all a big favour. Sometime over the next month, have a day where you don't have access to computers, and imagine that you've been hacked and locked out. How does your business still run? How does it perform? What things do you need to put in place to make that work? So these are things that family businesses constantly need to think about.
Yeah, wow, love that one. The fire drill, I like that example. So if we talk, so succession, so one issue, so you got a course. How long does that course go for?
Yep, it's over about 3 half-day sessions online.
Okay. All right, cool.
Yeah,
All right,
but
so
they're spaced out.
yeah, okay. So that's the core training that you have around succession. And then there's obviously advisors on your panels that can support to give specific tailored consultative advice around succession as well.
Absolutely. So in our advisor membership, we have a lot of advisors that can give advice on succession planning. So what I say to people is, you can do the succession planning yourself. You come to the course, you learn about, but for a lot of people, I say the real beauty in doing the course is to educate yourself about what the process looks like and what you as a family and as a family business should be doing, and who should be included, so that everyone knows what needs to happen. Everyone's on the same page, pulling in the same direction rather than fighting against each other. But then the decision needs to be made. Does one or more of the family members manage and run this thing, or do we engage the help of an expert? And my point is, you make your money making your widgets or selling your bobs or whatever it might be, and that's where your focus often needs to be. And perhaps sometimes it's better to take a little bit of money out of the business and invest in a professional to do it, but you're now all educated and can have some very deep and meaningful and understanding conversations with one of the FBA accredited advisors on what that process looks like.
And I think also
people get success.
Yeah, and I think also because it can be, you mentioned things about mortality and, you know, the sharing of the funds and all those sensitive topics, right? That people don't like to have those tough conversations. So I would assume by having a third party, that person can be independent, can be objective, and it allows everyone to kind of just open up and tell the consultant and the table how they're feeling about the scenario as well, right?
Absolutely. And you mentioned mortality, and it's an interesting one because I get a lot of calls from non-members often when things have gone bad. And this is a bit of a education or a lesson for anyone who's listening and watching at the moment. And I got a call from someone where the father had passed away, who was the CEO of the company, at not too old of age, that I say as I'm in my 50s. So they weren't too old, and it was very unexpected because no one expects it to happen, but they didn't have any succession planning in place. The family business became quite rudderless. 12 months later, they hadn't appointed a new CEO, and there was two siblings in the business who decided they were going to be co-CEOs.
Yeah, okay.
But they actually ended up losing 50% of their executive team within 12 months because the family dynamics fell down. Relationships fell down between one of the siblings and the mother. I'm not giving much away because I'm not giving any names.
Sure.
But these are the stories I need family businesses to understand. I take these calls daily of things where the issues in a family business are destroying the family unit. I actually say I'm the cautionary tale. My folks, so mum and stepdad, started a family business, and we did almost everything wrong that a family business does. Now, I'm talking 20 years ago. We hadn't heard of FBA, and I have not seen my mother for 18 years. My son is now 18. She hasn't seen him since he was 4 months old.
Wow.
So I do talk to family businesses about this, that there are some things you don't come back from. But if you get the right support and the right assistance early, while everything's going well, you're giving your family the best chance of success.
I appreciate you sharing that personal story, because I think that your members and people listening would hear that and think, I don't want that necessarily to happen to our family. So I appreciate you being honest on that one. Let's talk about, so succession was the key. Maybe give us one more key pain point that you see across FBA members.
Touched on a little bit there. It's the family dynamics. And I'll say it's not across FBA members, it's across family businesses.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, most of our members have actually, because they're part of FBA and they're part of the family business community, many of our members have dealt with a lot of this stuff already. When I was at the conference, it warms my heart, you know, from someone who's come from a broken family now, and I've shared that with everyone, it warms my heart to see these families where there's mum, dad, and the kids, or sometimes even 3 generations. They all still love each other. They're celebrating their successes. They're smiling. They're having dinners together, and seeing families succeed, not not just in families and business, but just families in general, because of doing the hard yards and putting the groundwork, but importantly, from the business point of view, setting things in place so that they keep the family issues out of the boardroom
Yeah.
and the business issues away from the dinner table. And
And
that's
I
a
think that,
really important lesson.
yeah, and I think that takes some serious discipline, right?
It
And
does.
probably some strong personalities as well to say, hey, let's not blur the two. Let's family's one thing, business is another. We understand everyone's got feelings and personalities, but we need to do the best thing for family and the best thing for business. So
Well, that's it. That's
yeah,
it. I mean, one thing that, I'll share with everyone here now, and one thing that we educate people on is, and it's a bit of a shock for a few people, is setting in place a family constitution or a family charter, like
oh,
the
yeah.
rules of engagement. And
Love that.
that's really important. You may or may not be familiar with the term of having a family board, because there needs to be a mechanism for even the family members who aren't in the business to still understand what's going on in the business. So some of our members, they won't have the meetings at home. So some of them will have either a monthly or a quarterly meeting. They'll take it to a restaurant or a neutral location, and all the family will come together to hear what's going on in the family business.
So tell us why you think that's important.
Because there's a thing that we educate family businesses on called the 3-circle model, which is really hard. I don't have a visual here to share with you. But basically, you've got the family, you've got the business, and you've got ownership. And they all overlap in places, but everyone who falls in a different spot. So you've got people who are just family, some people who are family, they own the business and they work in the business. Well, their issues and struggles are different to someone who's just a family member.
Sure.
But that family member still has a vested interest in the success of, first of all, the family, but secondly, the family business. Because for some of them, that may just be an inheritance. And you've got another
Yeah.
person who
Gotcha.
is part of family and works in the business. So they've got slightly different issues and concerns. So understanding the dynamics of and issues of each of the different sectors of this family or this business unit is
Yep.
really important. But more importantly, getting back to something I said earlier, that transparency, to be having open and honest conversations about what's going on and which direction they're going in. And some of the family members who aren't in the business have some really valuable contributions to make,
Yeah.
because they may be working somewhere else in a totally different industry, but could bring certain skills and qualities. Now, they may or may not choose at some point to join the family business, but their skills and qualities can still add value to the family business. Hence why most families will have these meetings and include everyone and seek input and discussion from everyone.
I love that, because again, they would bring that bring that objectivity, right? That they're not in the day to day. And as an outsider, this is what I think. Even though I'm a family member, as an outsider, this is what I think. I think that's so valuable. I love the 3 circles. We're going to definitely use that one. In terms of dealing with family businesses, what's the biggest thing you hear from them that has changed in running a business in the last 20, 25 years?
If we just wanted to go back 3 or 4, I think digitization for some family businesses, COVID/pandemic kicks in. There were some family businesses that were already really well advanced in that area, but for many, so when I talk to anyone in the web design space or SEO space or things like that, their businesses went gangbusters because so many people all of a sudden needed a digital presence. So that's a big one.
Yep.
For
Okay.
family businesses.
Yeah,
Some of the
cool.
family issues, it's really interesting that, we could almost go back to caveman times, and whoever was building the wheels or whatever, they would have had very similar issues.
Yeah.
Some of the issues that can arise within the business can stem back to sibling rivalry in childhood sometimes.
Absolutely.
Or parenting styles and that.
Yeah. Egos take over, right? If we look at there's lots of negative talk out there, and I'm, for one, I don't listen to the media. What are you seeing your positive members? What action are you seeing them take to just not listen to the noise and just keep their business positive? What are you seeing? What habits are you seeing?
Look, it often starts at the top. I think for the leaders within a family business, it's what they perceive and portray, and that flows on to their staff as well. Some of our members, they obviously do it very well. I can tell, but some of our members, it's not just the family that has gone multi-generational, it's actually the employees. Because one thing, I don't know whether you've ever worked for a family business or not as a non-family member, but often the family treat their staff like family as well.
Yeah.
It's their extended family. And let's face it, when we go to our workplace, sometimes we're spending more time with our work colleagues than we do with our own families.
True.
So we've got some members where granddad worked there and then mum worked there and now the kids are working there.
Yeah,
And they've worked in the same, because the environment that they've built for their staff. The statistics, I'm trying to remember the exact one on the top of my head, but I think something like 75% of people would rather work for a family business than a corporate.
Yeah,
There's
I'm
some
not
interesting
surprised.
statistics out
I'm
there.
not surprised. The dynamic is so different, right? Dealing with,
Absolutely.
because it's like they are, generally a good owner would treat their team like family, and from a respect perspective, and looking after them, and we talk a lot about, in dealing with our clients, that it's not just a business, it's their livelihood. So those that are part of that team have an impact on the owner's livelihood as well, and vice versa. The owner knows that, they're feeding their family, they're feeding their team's family and their kids and their mortgage and their car and whatever else, and their holidays and all those things.
It's interesting.
So
It's
yeah,
interesting you say that, because that talks to some of the pressure of being a family business owner as well. Like, imagine you start the business, and in many cases you may have started it as a single person or as a couple or whatever it may be, and you're responsible for your own livelihood. And then you've got your kids, but then your kids start working in the business and you're responsible for their livelihood along with the other staff
absolutely.
members. And then you're responsible for your grandkids' education and all that. These are things that people should not be trying to face alone. And I've had, sometimes I feel like I need a psychology degree. I've had people cry on my shoulder at events
Yep.
because they finally feel like they've found their tribe. They've been doing it really tough, and all of the issues and everything that have been getting swept under the carpet or hidden in the cupboard that they don't want anyone to know about, our members talk about quite openly and honestly, because it's the easiest way to get things right. So
Yep.
all of a sudden someone's openly weeping on my shoulder going, oh my God, I thought we were the only ones going through this. No, I can tell all the family businesses out there, you're not alone, but you need to find your community.
I'm so glad you said that, because before our chat today, I was talking to another guest who's going to be on the podcast in a few weeks. And she said to me, so tell me what the purpose of the podcast is. And I said, look, we're a marketing consultancy that helps small businesses with their marketing and help them succeed in their business. The podcast is to reaffirm that that's what we do, and to ensure that business owners know that they're not alone, and that 95% of the businesses across Australia, 2.5 million of them, small businesses, often have the same obstacles and issues, right? So I'm glad you mentioned that, because it is, everyone needs to know that they're not alone. And I'm hoping that when people listen to this podcast, they think, that's some of the same stuff that I go through. I'm not alone, and they can feel like that there's help out there for them. So that kind of leads me on to the next part when we talk about what the positive owners are doing in terms of their staff. Do you see a characteristic across MDs, GMs, CEOs, the owners of the company? Do you see a common characteristic that makes them successful?
Look, there's probably a few, but the true, and this is my opinion through multiple careers myself and a few decades of working, people who empower their staff, people who hang on to the power. It can be quite difficult, because you can't do everything, and sometimes businesses, when they grow, it can be a real pain point to let go of your baby. Like, especially, let's talk a first generation business. You've built it from scratch, and all of a sudden it's getting a bit too big, and you start putting some staff on, and you also need to relinquish a little bit of power here, and you can't do this and you can't do that. So people who manage the business, and essentially you see them working on the business, yes, they work in the business, but they're also working on the business. And that's a really important thing. I commonly get people say, oh, Tim, I'm too busy to attend an event, or I'm too busy to do this education course, or whatever it might be. They're working really long hours, maybe, and it's hard in this environment because it's been really hard to get staff for some people out there.
Yeah.
So sometimes you need to work on your business, you need to work on your business strategy, but empowering your people is it can really lift you up, but also lift the business up as well. It lightens your load and you can focus on other things. And really important is also take a bit of time to smell the roses. Like there's throughout history to be a lot of people who went toes up, who worked right to the end, and some of them never even took a holiday.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're working hard. You and your family need to enjoy that as well. And from a family point of view, always be mindful that the example that you set for the kids subconsciously and consciously, like both, what they see is how they form their decisions. And I say this because in some cases, some of the kids have turned around, and again, not talking about our members, but other family businesses out there, but they turn around and go, you know what, I don't want to work in the family business because I saw how hard mum or dad worked.
Sure.
And they worked way too hard, and I saw the stresses that they brought home, and sometimes the yelling in the house and the fighting in the house. And it's like, I don't want that for me and my partner and all that. So no, I'm
Sure.
actually going to do something else. And you spoke
Yeah.
earlier about making your own mark. Some of the family members do that. The entrepreneurial spirit runs through the family because of the example that was set early on. But some of
Yep.
them go, you know what, that is mum or dad's baby, and it's okay that my brother or sister or cousins or whatever might want to work in that business. But, I'm pretty entrepreneurial myself, and I'm going to start my own thing. Now, some of them do it as their own standalone, but some do it within the family structure. So you've got the
Okay.
original business. And this is an
Yep.
important lesson for smaller family businesses out there that have aspirationals to grow to be something bigger. It won't always be your first business or operational business. There's a moment where you may look to acquire another business or start another business venture. And then you get into the structure of trusts and everything else on how does the business need to be owned from either a tax purpose or any other reason that you structure the business the way it's owned, and how are dividends distributed to people who work in the business, but maybe also family members outside of business. Like these are things that you can't just know yourself. That's why you do go to an FBA accredited advisor to help you with
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
big things family businesses need to think about.
Can you give me kind of the five industries um or titles of advisors that help? So is it like, HR, accounting, cyber? Like what are those, give me
Look,
5 or 10 that you guys support the most in?
yeah, look, we'll support anyone who wants to support family businesses, because
Yep.
ultimately family businesses and family need products and services. So we'll
Sure.
support anyone who actually truly wants to support a family business, not just be concerned about what they make off a transaction.
Yep.
But our common advisor members are accountancy and advisory, legal, all different types of legal. You've got financial planners. A big one, which you may not have known until this conversation now, is people who specialize in family dynamics. And I'm not
Okay.
just
Yep.
talking psychologists necessarily. There are people who, in some cases, have worked in family businesses for many years themselves and understand what goes on in a family business and the dynamics and how it can go wrong. So
Yeah. Love it.
we have people who specialize in just helping families with their family business dynamics.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. Cool.
they're a couple of the big ones.
Yeah.
Look,
Nice.
apologies to anyone watching if I've forgotten your industry, because we do have a whole range of industries, recruitment, HR, all these things that you did mention.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Um, let's talk. Let's talk marketing. Does the FBA do much marketing for itself?
Yeah, look, we do. And again, not my area of expertise by any means. But yeah,
Sure.
look, from a personal point of view, like I'm pretty big. I like LinkedIn. I think it's a nice professional platform, but FBA has its public pages that are available for anyone to join, and then we have some closed groups that are just for members.
Yep.
And yeah, like most businesses out there or associations out there, our marketing would come via EDM or email, social media.
Yep.
Not across radio or anything like that.
Sure. Sure.
Our biggest marketing comes from our members. Our
Yeah.
members are our biggest advocates.
Yeah. Great.
And yeah, I saw one stand up at an event recently and implored the family businesses in the room to join because of the support and success that they've enjoyed having been a member of FBA.
Yeah.
So word of mouth marketing is a big one that we rely on and we love because it means we're doing something right.
Yeah, your reputation clearly precedes you as an organization that's been going. How long did you say? 25 years?
25 years.
Yeah, okay, awesome. Is there, I know you touched on some things personally before, is there anyone in your life that you obviously love what you do, which is awesome, and it helps us all wake up in the morning if we love what we do. Is anyone in your life that you would thank for your role or your successes over your career?
Oh, I would like to thank the Academy. No, just joking. Look, I think I've had a few pretty decent leaders over the years, but I've also had, you know what, you learn a lot from your not so decent leaders as well.
True.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
absolutely. And then you've got your family that you always want to thank for their support because in my instance got stay-at-home family and yeah, they've taken care of everything on the home front while I've been out on podcasts and various things. So
yeah, awesome. If you were to look at your career, any kind of highest moments, lowest moments for you?
yeah, let's have a quick think about that. So high moments. Look, I had a background in banking. I was there for 20 odd years.
Yep.
And yeah, look, pretty proud of some of the support that we offered there. I will, and it's not just because I'm representing FBA today. This has been a bit of a highlight, this role. It's something different. I wasn't from an association background, and they took a bit of a punt because of my work experiences. And I've really, like, a highlight is getting to know people and members. Like, we're a social society, so being part of a association that's particularly focused on community is a definite highlight. Low light, look, it's some of the people who I've got Asperger's. So I see the world a little bit different. And
Sure.
some of the people I've worked with, I get along really well. But some of the lowlights is not understanding people who are wired that little bit differently to me at times and do things that I do question.
Yeah,
And
okay.
I'll say one thing in particular, and it does stem back to my banking background, is some unethical behaviours that I may have seen and thought, don't know if I'd be doing that with our customers.
Well, I think the one thing that I've loved so far about our convo is that I read obviously did some research and I read just the simple purpose on the FBA website, and it's about just helping family business succeed. And you obviously do that via just talking to them. First of all, you're like the counselor 101, and just that shoulder to cry on. Obviously, you got your advisor panels across the country as well that support them. You've got all the events that you guys host for them to come and make sure they feel they're not alone. And I just love that that's your simple purpose. So you and I met at the CommBank Small Business Expo a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And coming out of that expo, a lot of people said, "Oh, how did it go? Did you meet a lot of people, all that type of stuff?" And I said, the one thing that I got out of the expo from all the attendees that came past and visited Little Marketing was that everyone just needs help.
Yeah.
Like, it's really simple, right? They just need help. They're great at the technical, whether they're a builder or food manufacturer or, plumber or whatever they do, but not great at marketing or not great at succession planning or not great at family dynamics or HR or accounting, or the list goes on and on and on. And the owner, like, all that responsibility falls on the business owner. And it's impossible to that you can't do it all and you need that help. So I love just that. And I can see the genuineness coming through you as well, that you genuinely want to help family businesses. And that's clearly just a reflection of the FBA. So I think you guys are doing a fantastic job. And I wasn't meaning to give you guys a pat on the back, but just that's how I felt about our conversation so far. If you just a few final questions. So are there, and you would heard so many like up and down stories. Do you want to share a couple, or maybe just one, like incredible, maybe turnaround story, or just family business story? And you don't have to give names or anything away, but just a journey or a story of a business owner that you've dealt with, or family business you've dealt with.
Yeah, look, if I was to pick, let's pick just one really great one for the moment. So a member who came along, look, their business was working really hard at the time. They were having a few family struggles, and the dynamics in the family they hadn't addressed. So there was a few things going unchecked. Definitely hadn't done succession planning or anything else. So they came along, joined FBA, and one of the things you may not be aware of is we run a forum group program. So this particular member not only joined Family Business Association as a member, but also joined up to our forum group program, which is essentially you've got to take a half day out of your business every month to meet with other family business leaders in what we call Chatham House rule, but commonly for anyone watch Get Smart, cone of silence. So you all meet often at one of the businesses, so you get a chance to see the business, but they're professionally facilitated by an experienced business person, up to 10 family business leaders in the room, non-competing. So you wouldn't have two people from the wine industry, for argument's sake, in there. And they get to address personal issues, family issues, and very importantly, business issues. And the business growth and personal growth that some of our members experience when they're part of the forum group program is off the charts. And the way this family, seeing them 12 months later, which is a short time, we've got people who've been in our forum group program for 20 years. 12 months later, the conversion of their happiness of their family, but also the thriving of their family business to the point where they've put on extra staff and they're now about to take an extended European holiday because they've empowered their staff to lead the business as well. That's something they couldn't envisage 12 months earlier.
And was it because so that forum, what's the purpose of that forum? Is it them to hear the third-party consultant to give some advice on a regular basis and learn from that?
Not just the third-party consultant,
but the other businesses.
It's all cone of silence, which is why I'm not giving too much. But from the other businesses, they learn and support each other, and some of them become really fast, great friends. But also they get experts in to speak on topics that the group collectively want to know about, that are going to help them. They also, many of them go away on retreats. So they'll once a year go away on a retreat to really focus on what they're doing. So these people are investing time to work on their business. And it's a bit of a catchphrase we hear thrown around a lot, but they are actually doing it. And they are living, breathing proof of the success of the FBA Forum program.
Yeah, love it. That's so good. That's a nice way to almost finish our chat. Can you give me one, or give the listeners one final tangible piece of advice to help them in their family business?
Don't try and do everything yourself, and don't try and do it alone. Find your support network. Hopefully it's the FBA community and you'll find your tribe, but too many people put themselves under pressure. And ultimately, when I talk about 30% of businesses getting to second gen, one of the reasons for that is for some people, business just becomes too tough and too hard, but they need to. And I know sometimes they're resource strapped or finance strapped or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But sometimes a little bit of investment in themselves and in their business can go a long way to its success.
Yeah, love it. Nice final words there, Tim. If people are interested in the FBA or want to get in contact with you, what's the best way for them to find you and the FBA?
Yeah, look, if they just look up Family Business Association on their search engine, that's
Yep.
one way. Give us a call, 1-800-349-357. I think off the top of my head, I don't ring it that often.
Yep.
But more importantly, just get on the website and reach out.
And all the information around membership and how you guys help and support is all there, I would assume.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, perfect.
Absolutely. But more importantly, if I've got the number wrong, which I think it might be 249-357, yeah, if I've got the number wrong, look, we've got a contact us section there. I've
Yep,
got all
awesome.
my details if anyone wants to reach out, but just reach out to the team
Yep.
and yeah, we're there support and listen.
Awesome. Tim, thank you so much for today. That's so useful. I love the passion and the great purpose of wanting to help family business. So I appreciate your time. I know it's precious as well. So thank you.
Cheers. Thanks, Michael.
Just a reminder, to get even more out of today's episode, go to the show notes to find the link or visit littlemarketing.com.au where you can download a worksheet with the key points discussed in today's episode. This is so that you can make your own notes around some of the things discussed, get your marketing moving and start implementing. Again, thanks for listening and have a great day. Please note that all the information provided on this podcast is general in nature and is not intended to be specific advice to your individual situation. Please be sure to engage a professional for a customized approach to your business and personal circumstances.